Hello everyone, my name is Brent and I run a website named cmidtn.com. I usually focus on things in the Middle Tennessee area, but my wife and I recently went on a trip to the Savannah, Georgia area, and we had a chance to stay at the Thunderbird Inn. The Thunderbird Inn is a hotel near downtown Savannah, right on the edge of where downtown starts, and it was built in the 1960s, and today it is almost a tourist destination of its own because they have recreated everything in the hotel to be just like what staying in a hotel was in the 60s. It is very kitschy, but it is also an interesting place to stay. I'm going to divide this video into two different parts. The first part is going to be what it's like to actually stay at the Thunderbird Inn, where we're going to take a look at everything inside the room, all the amenities, things like that. And then for the second part, we're just going to take a look at the grounds, and this is more for the people that just aren't thinking of visiting here, or they're people that just want to see what things are like here. During our stay, we did notice that there were several other people like my wife and I who came here just for the touristy 60s nature of the hotel. But since it's so close to downtown, it is also one of the more affordable housing options here for people that want to come and visit and not pay a lot of money. In the downtown area, you'll find a lot of hotels over $100, 150, 200, and this one was actually one of the cheapest hotels in town. There were some people here that did not care about the history at all and just wanted a cheap place to stay. So now that we have that out of the way, let's take a look at the inside of the room. All right, my wife and I got one of the standard king size room, and we're going to take a look at all of the different elements that you see here in the picture. To start with, it is a king size bed, and they did leave us a couple of moon pies on there by the pillows. If there was a negative that I had for this hotel, it was that the bed wasn't really all that comfortable, and it just by breathing, it felt like it was making squeaking sounds, and for that reason, it wasn't the most comfortable place that we had to stay. But other than that, we liked pretty much everything else that the room had to offer. Now, one of the first things I noticed was this interesting lamp. Not only did it have a traditional light on it, but as you see, there's a little wire that comes down out of it with a little smaller reading lamp that you can use. I thought that was very interesting. I don't know if this was a 60s design, but it was nice for reading at night. The other side of the bed also had one of these and also a couple of cans of RC Cola. If you're not from the South, a lot of people do put RC Cola and moon pies together. They're kind of a traditional snack that you purchase together. And since I am from Middle Tennessee, I will point out that the city of Bell Buckle, Tennessee, every year does have an RC Cola and Moon Pie Festival that's worth checking out. Moving on, here is a kitschy looking lamp that was in the room. Nice 60s look on that. And one thing that I thought was unusual that I've never seen in a hotel before was the light switch for that last lamp was actually built into the door frame. The frame itself was kind of a neat brushed metal, but it looks like that switch has been there for since the 1960s, with as kind of dirty as it looks there. But I just thought it was weird that I've never seen a light switch that was actually built into a door frame. And while we're talking about lamps, one more to point out, this yellow lamp that was over by the window, but also this is an aluminum window blinds, and that's something else that I've never seen before. So I'm going to have to assume that that is kind of a 60s thing. Here we've got a couple of teal colored chairs. I'm going to assume that is a 1960s look to them. I didn't actually live in the 60s, but so you're going to have to tell me whether or not that is actually a 60s design or not. Now, this is the telephone in the room, and I loved it. This is coming from a guy whose mother wanted to keep a rotary phone as long as the phone company would allow us to have it. And this is has the look of a rotary phone. The dial on it does not actually spin, but instead you would press the buttons of the numbers that you see on here. And so it's got this neat throwback look to it. Of everything that was in the room, this was personally my favorite thing here, and that was a nice touch. Now, I will say that the coat rack that they have is all rusty, and I guess that's something that's been there since the 60s as well. Uh, as more of a modern convenience, I thought it was interesting that the air conditioning unit was actually mounted to almost mounted to the ceiling. I've never seen that before, but it did pretty well. Here is the large TV that's in the room. I assume that's about a 40-inch. There's a couple of nice coffee table books that they left in the room. And if you like coffee makers, I don't drink coffee, but that's what it looks like. And they've even put their logo on the ice bucket. If you're the kind of person that likes to keep the hotel soap as a memento from your stay at a hotel, well, this is what the soap by the sink looks like. And in addition to that, they also had this bottle of moisturizing lotion. And they've got their motto of Savannah's hippest hotel written on the bottle as well. The bathroom was sort of small. I guess that was pretty typical from a 60s hotel, but it does have that tile pattern on the floor. Inside the shower, the soap dish was heart-shaped. And instead of having more bottles of hotel soap and shampoo and conditioner, they actually provided these three bottles that stayed in the room. So you've got your bath gel, shampoo, and conditioner. And for people that thought these were interesting, they did sell these at the front desk if you wanted to take home one of these with you. And my wife wanted to point out that they also provided a couple of these makeup remover wipes. This was some artwork that I found in the room. I thought I liked the look of that, and in particular, we've got the high bridge of Highway 17 that crosses over the Savannah River there in the background. When you, if you're driving from South Carolina and you cross that bridge, to get to this hotel, you would take the first exit in Savannah, which is a ramp that makes a full circle, and it puts you on Oglethorpe Street. It's just another block until you're at this hotel. So that bridge and this hotel are kind of intertwined. The key cards that were in the room, I thought that was a nice look. Has that kind of an artistic look. They actually sold this design as a postcard, and they had about 6 or 8 different postcards for sale in the gift shop or in the front office. This was actually my least favorite design out of all of them, but it does show a couple of the interesting buildings downtown in this picture. And for those of you that like to keep the pen and the piece of paper that comes in the room, they have their logo on that as well. But probably my favorite thing that they have to sell in the gift shop is a replica old-fashioned key that you see here, and they have them for every room in 3 different colors, and so you can purchase a keychain of the room you stayed in. We did stay in room 118. And we'll take one last look here of the room before we check out some of the grounds. We did happen to go in the summer of 2020, so that was when there was a lot of social distancing in effect, but there still were plenty of people here at the hotel. Uh, Although I did notice that on they did have a vacancy on the sign. They'll also point out that they're encouraging you to take pictures of their hotel and use the hashtag and post it on social media. Now, this is a dog-friendly hotel. They had a small little grassy area on the other side of the front office, but this was a cute sign that they had, attention dogs, grr, bark, woof, good dog. Also in that area, they have this mural that has an old-fashioned postcard design where they have a different scene in each letter of the city. And during my visit, I was able to see almost all of these places, but just to kind of point out what they are. In the S, you've got the traditional looking trees of the oak tree with the Spanish moss hanging down. Uh, the most famous place to see that is at the Wormslow Plantation site. In the letter A, there is the gold domed City Hall. In the V, it's a monument to William Jasper located in Madison Square. In the A and the N, there is the Forsyth Park Fountain. In the letter N, it's the Cathedral of St. John the Baptist. In the letter A, it is the burial site of William Gordon, who was the president of the Central of Georgia Railroad, and that's located in Wright Square. And then in the letter H, Savannah used to be a cotton town. That used to be a primary industry of theirs, and that is the Cotton Exchange with the Lion Fountain located out front. One other thing for selfies, they had this little heart sign, the Thunderbird Inn loves me. Here's kind of our first glimpse inside of the office area. On the left, you can actually see the rack where they have all the hotel keys in multiple colors, red, yellow, and kind of a teal blue. And then we move on to the inside. There is also the rack for postcards there in about the middle of the picture. On the left, of course, you have all the local brochures. Now, if it wasn't time for social distancing, they would offer free popcorn to visitors, and that was actually not available right now for social distancing purposes. They also would normally be providing lemonade to guests, but that was not available also. I was sad about that, but at the same time, the room was about $15 cheaper than it was when I looked it up a couple of years ago um, in a previous trip to Savannah. So they are saving a little bit of money right now. They do provide free donuts in the morning. Also in the gift shop area, they have some old-fashioned soda bottles that you can purchase, as well as a decent selection of t-shirts. Here's another picture of their vintage sign, which still looks great, has all the light, still working on it. This is what all the rooms look like. You had the teal door and the little panels of yellow, teal, and red. I can see where they used to have the floor mounted air conditioning unit that has been covered up right there. Also holding up the second story walkway, they have these concrete blocks that have planters built into them. Since we went in the heat of summer in Georgia, all the plants there were wilted, but you go in the spring, it looks really nice. Down below, they also have one of those little cardboard stand-ups that you can pose in front of. Although it is pretty low to the ground, you can pretend like you're driving in an old-fashioned 60s car. Here's a look at a second story room. It's about the same as the first story, except you've got the balcony railing there. And here's another look down the second story walkway. And for the rooms that are vacant, they actually leave the aluminum blinds open so you can look in there. They had a couple of bicycles here, and I assume that they were bicycles that belonged to the hotel that you could rent. I guess they have kind of a 60s look to them. I assume that most people that would bring a bike with them would probably leave it in their vehicle and not tied right here. But since it has the letter S on it, that's probably S for Savannah. Here's kind of another look at the rooms at dusk, and then looking the other way. And then here's a look in the morning. You've got the sign on the right with the office there, and then the rooms to the left. And then one more look at the sign during the daytime. Now, I didn't include any pictures of the hotel that were in their postcards because I didn't want to infringe on any copyrights. However, I did look online and I purchased this vintage 60s postcard off of eBay. And let me read the back of it to you. Thunderbird Inn, US Highway 17A, 1 block from downtown, Savannah, Georgia, overlooking the Savannah River high-level bridge, king-size bath and dressing room, wall-to-wall carpeting, well, that's not around anymore, independent controlled heat and air conditioning, TV, room phones, free continental breakfast, fine restaurants 1 block, serving choice foods, American Oil credit cards honored, plus many others, Carte Blanche, Diners Club, AMX, etc., all electric building. For your reservations, write or call 232-2661. Your host, Billy Fulgham and W. Stanley Fulgham, owner. And it also does mention that this was a part of the chain of Best Western motels back then. As they mention credit cards on the back, they do not take cash these days, only card. But if you purchase anything from the front desk, they do add it to your room. And so we made multiple purchases that were added up for us. As I mentioned before, my name is Brent. I run a website called cmidtn.com, and I usually focus on things like old-fashioned neon signs in motels, as well as courthouses, train stations, and older buildings, things like that. And so feel free to check out my website. I'll have several links below. In the description below, I will have a link to all of the photos that you see in this slideshow. I will have those uploaded for you. I'll have a second link for some of my other Savannah and Georgia photos. On the same trip, my wife and I stayed also at the Fitzpatrick Inn Hotel in downtown Washington, Georgia, a completely different hotel than this one. That one was more of an 1890s look to it. That hotel was also haunted. I'll link to that video at the end of this video. And if you do visit my website, we have several things of interest, lots of different photo galleries. I do have a blog where I have little vignettes about different things, mostly in the Middle Tennessee area and within a few miles of there. So feel free to check it out. And thanks for watching. Bye.